She stepped off the school bus and vanished forever. A bright, happy 8-year-old girl steps off her school bus just 50 feet from her home and vanishes without a trace. No witnesses, no cries for help, no body ever found. What happened to Cherrie Mahan on that cold February day in 1985 still haunts America. A mysterious van with a skier mural, tire tracks leading nowhere, a letter written decades later describing where her body is buried. Every clue only deepens the chilling mystery. On February 22, 1985, Cherrie Mahan, an 8-year-old girl from Winfield Township, Pennsylvania, got off her school bus as she did every day. Her home was just 150 yards up a wooded driveway. Her stepfather, Leroy McKinney, heard the bus arrive and intended to meet her, but her mother, Janice, suggested letting her walk since it was a nice day. That decision would haunt her forever. Cherrie never made it home. Her footprints were absent from the snow-covered driveway. Instead, tire tracks were found about 50 yards from the house. That's when panic set in, and a full-scale search began. Police responded immediately. Helicopters, bloodhounds, and over 250 volunteers searched the area extensively, but no sign of Cherrie was ever found. A witness, Debbie Burke, the mother of one of Cherrie's friends, had followed the school bus and picked up her daughter and others. She was the last known person to see Cherrie. Burke reported a distinctive bluish-green 1970s Dodge van parked near the bus stop, with a mural of a skier on a mountain. This van, never found, became the centerpiece of the investigation. Another vehicle, a blue car, was also seen following the van. Witnesses later said the van had been repainted black shortly after the disappearance. Still, despite extensive efforts, neither vehicle was ever located. At the time, forensic capabilities were limited. The most compelling physical evidence came from the tire impressions in the driveway and sightings of the mysterious van. No footprints, no fibers, no DNA, nothing that could definitively link anyone to Cherrie's disappearance. Later, computer-generated age progression images were created to imagine what Cherrie might look like as a young adult. These were distributed nationwide, but no verified sightings followed. Cherrie was known as a cheerful, talkative child with hazel eyes and a dog bite scar on her left arm. Her mother, Janice McKinney, had her at age 16 and raised her with deep love and care. Janice, who later married Vietnam veteran Leroy McKinney, described Cherrie as her whole world. The day of the disappearance was the first time she hadn't waited at the bottom of the driveway to meet her daughter. Despite the trauma, Janice never stopped searching. She hosted remembrance events, shared Cherrie's story publicly, and followed every new lead, no matter how small. In 2011, a new tip was received from someone personally connected to Cherrie. Police described it as more specific than anything they had encountered in years, suggesting a known suspect. While details were not publicly disclosed, officials acknowledged the information implied Cherrie was likely no longer alive. In 2018, Janice McKinney received an anonymous handwritten letter describing who had killed her daughter, why, and where her body was buried. The writer ended the letter with a haunting line: "I pray you find some peace after you find her body." Authorities investigated but made no public statements about the letter's authenticity. A separate 2014 tip suggested a woman living in Michigan under an assumed identity might be Cherrie. DNA testing ruled that out. Cherrie was legally declared dead in 1998, 13 years after her disappearance. Janice donated the $50,000 reward fund to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. She later passed the remaining trust to Cherrie's younger brother. Despite the legal closure, Janice has never stopped hoping. As she once said, "When people die, you have a body. You say goodbye. I never had that." Cherrie's case was the first to appear on the now iconic "Have You Seen Me?" postcards, pioneering a nationwide method of spreading missing child alerts. Her disappearance contributed to increased public awareness and support for missing children advocacy, including the expansion of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Experts believe the abduction was premeditated. Most theories agree that the abductor likely knew Cherrie personally, someone who could easily lure her into a vehicle without raising suspicion. That trust may have been her undoing. Cherrie Mahan was only 8 years old when she vanished just steps from home. Decades later, there is still no closure, no arrests, no remains, no final goodbye. Someone, somewhere, knows the truth. If you know anything, no matter how small, contact Pennsylvania State Police. Your tip could bring peace to a mother who has lived with heartbreak for nearly 40 years. Share Cherrie's story. Keep her name alive. And remember, sometimes the smallest clue can crack the biggest mystery. Subscribe for more real-life unsolved cases, true crime investigations, and stories that demand justice.